Hi guys, what's going on? And welcome back to Total War Arena and another episode of Battle of the Week, or Battle Analysis of the Week, however I decide to name it when we get to the upload phase. So today we are with Loyal Hawk. I think we've done a replay of him already. So yes, we're back with another one, at this time with the Tier 8 Barbarian Infantry. They're the chosen swordsman, which is pretty cool, particularly with it being the Barbarian Weekend at the moment. Time of recording this, or the time this comes out, it will have ended. And I'm currently going at the Barbarian Infantry tree a bit through the weekend myself, because obviously they're cheaper in the research. So I thought it was kind of cool to see some of the higher tier stuff. I think what they call the Chosen Swordsman, I think. Yeah, Chosen Swordsman. He's got pretty good matchmaking. He seems to be largely against tier 7s and other stuff. They say largely, I think almost entirely. Yeah, so very generous matchmaking, although the Barbarian Infantry aren't exactly amazing, so it doesn't really give them that much of a benefit. So yeah, so let's sort of see how he gets on and see how he does against the enemies. So we'll get starting. I noticed the first thing he does, he decides to go straight for the trees, which is no bad thing, particularly on this map. I really hate this map. I find this central bridge just forms too much of a barricade and it just turns into a camp fest, particularly when you start to get like light artillery setting up on the hill and that sort of thing, or slingers. It just makes it very hard to cross this central map, and just so often just turns into two sides camping against each other. Although that's not really the case this time. But still, wise move I think going into the forest at the start. Even though it's only a light forest, it only gets a 15% melee attack and defense anyway. All slingers, I'd keep well away from them. What is the missile block chance of these guys at tier 8? 50. Not amazing, but could be worse. If we compare that to say some tier 7 Roman infantry, 54, so actually not that much higher, although obviously they get a testudo and the Barbarians don't. Obviously he is using Bursts and Getrick, so he has access to Scorched Earth and Defiance. Obviously Defiance being recently having been nerfed in the last 3.1.2 patch, so we are now at the lower ranked Defiance. So I'd certainly be keeping a ready eye out for these slingers and trying to avoid them, because they will absolutely rip you to pieces, particularly if they get shots into your back, because you don't have that much body armour. It's a bit lower, only 113, which is pretty low. So, you've got to watch out for that. It looks like our allied Romans on this team are starting to move down into the centre to engage these veteran legionaries, same units against each other. Quite a good javelin throw into the back of them, did quite a lot of damage. I think Loyal Hawk sees this and starts to move up. So, seeing if he can get him very engaged in this fight as well. Looks like those slingers pushed a bit further down to the south, which is obviously a good thing. And looks like this light artillery didn't move up to this central point, which kind of seems odd to me. I would have thought the light artillery would want to set up on this ridge line, because that gives them access over this whole centre. So, looking at this engagement, it looks like pretty evenly matched. Both sides go straight for vengeance, I think. Well, they haven't activated vengeance yet. Vision strikes vengeance. Oh, there it goes. So both sides are fully engaged, both sides are in vengeance, pretty evenly matched. But obviously, Loyal Hawk has the opportunity to change things here. I'm not sure if this is... I think throwing the fire here was a good move, because you're burning these Romans down quickly, but then charging a unit in, I think, was a bit of an error. You're doing enough damage with the fire, because he doesn't actually do enough to get them to rat anyway, so he's just burning, and he's not really doing that much damage with the sword, so I think he realises that and pulls out, but it would have been better not pushing him there, because it cost him about a third of his unit. These guys, obviously, good move, gets them to rout, kills them instantly, very quickly. Obviously, as soon as you get Roman infantry to rout, you break their vengeance. So once they recover, or if they ever recover, then the vengeance doesn't come back on. So if you rout them, then they lose their vengeance. But that was pretty successful. 3 enemy units completely obliterated, and relatively minimal casualties on allies all around. Pretty good. A couple of Gunganir charges left. So he pushes back up into the forest. Doesn't look like there's a lot of other opposition on this side. This can sometimes be a bit of a battleground around here, but really it doesn't look like there's a lot here. Looks like everyone has sort of pushed much further down to the south of the map, where the enemies are doing a lot better, so it's still a fairly even battle. Only about 50 points in it, so that's certainly not won by any long shot. So Loyal Hawk starts to push down with the intention of going for the watchtower. Yep, it's a fine move. Nothing wrong with getting rid of observation. Although I'd perhaps just send one unit, you probably don't need to send everyone over there. See if we can see any enemies when he gets there. So he starts to push his units in. Oops. Pulls back a bit soon. There we go. I think he must have misclicked there. But we get observations, and we see there are some tier 6 spearmen pushing down the road back to base. Obviously aware, quite an alert player in many ways. The fact he's obviously noticed that the enemy are pushing through here, and he's trying to make back to base to defend, which is a good thing, certainly. Loyal Hawk seeing this starts to push into the forest. Again, good, gives him Visibility makes him harder to spot, obviously being in the forest, plus he gets the attack bonus if he gets to fight in the forest, so pretty good move. And then he starts to split up his units, which is good. Particularly when fighting spearmen like this, you know, having options to flank and stuff like that is obviously certainly a good thing. So the spearmen split off one unit, or try to start splitting off one unit, and he goes for a charge with his commander's unit, which the spearmen take the fight, immediately push in, go straight into phalanx. It's obviously the right thing to do. Then he pushes in and rear flanks with his second unit. Obviously these spearmen just absolutely go for it and start pushing really hard. They must have absolutely maxed their fatigue out very quickly. And that's where they actually racked quite a lot of damage, 13,000 damage, so it was quite a good move on the part of their spearmen, and it allowed them to pull their other two units back to safety. But obviously now they've obviously maximum fatigue, not doing a lot of damage, and they're double flanked, they're pretty much dead. They go for hold the line to stop themselves from routing, which is absolutely the right thing to do, but it doesn't really help them because they just get cut down. Loyal Hawk went for Defiance, which protected a lot of his units, and that is the end of them. Then it looks like he goes to start trying to burn these guys, forces them out of their position, covering the central gate. Obviously they're on fire. Understandable. He starts to push down with his other units. The spearmen then decide to retreat through the flames. It probably was, for the amount of damage they took, probably was the right decision. Although that spear javelin throw to the back did quite a bit of damage. Loyal Hawk then decides to run through the flames, which I think is probably not really worth it, particularly when they're on the verge of dying down anyway. I'd have just hung on that extra 5 seconds and you wouldn't have took the damage. No need to cause yourself damage unless you have to. And then he looks at how is he going to deal with this remaining spear unit. He's got a few options. He can push these two units. He starts to flank with this unit, which is probably the right thing to do. Sets them on fire just as the poor spearmen go into hoplite phalanx, so they're nicely slowly walking through the flames. At this point, I probably would have split my units to two sides and gone one on each flank to try and sort of push each flank of the phalanx. I find that to be quite effective often. He goes for the double javelin throw though instead, which causes quite a lot of damage. And then the spearmen just make a terrible choice. They turn round, obviously with the intention of pulling back, but they do it at absolutely the wrong time, and that means they go into hoplite phalanx in reverse, and then they just look at them, they just get mullered basically, and then they just get cut down as they begin to stand up. And they get killed, and Loyal Hawk basically takes no damage here at all, or very little, so it's pretty well played. Though he's in retreat from these remaining foot companions. If those dogs were going to engage for any significant period, I would have pushed in, because that would force the spearmen to either go into hoplite phalanx, in which case they would have died from the dogs, or stay out of hoplite phalanx, in which case you'll be superior combat with them. Some enemy Gungnir charges. There was a few we saw over here in the middle of the game. Actually did quite a good job getting a charge in and actually reset a significant portion of the cap, which is quite a good move. But obviously these spearmen are now just caught in a sandwich, wedged between Romans and Barbarians, and well, frankly they're not going to last. Hold the line obviously does quite a good job of propping them up at 1 morale. Rear flanked and side flanked, but it is not enough to get them to rout. But it doesn't really matter because they're just getting decimated anyway. The Romans went straight for a vengeance, I think. That just cuts those spearmen down so quickly, it don't stand a chance. So obviously, given Loyal Hawk quite a few points now, he's racked up obviously quite a few nice capture points by being in the cap, as well as a decent amount of aggression and support points. I think he got a lot of his support points when he helped those Romans right at the start of the game. So it's just a few legionary cavalry left, tried to delay the cap. It's still a pretty close game actually in terms of score, so I certainly fully support the capping out. Just get clipped by a full barrage of slinger fire in the back, which is quite a bit of damage. Shows how effective those slingers can be, particularly at such range. But absolutely the right thing to do here is to try and cap out. It's if it were a lot more decisively winning, then I'd kind of understand if people want to fight on to the end. But when it's pretty close still, you know, within sort of 50-60 points, then yeah, cap out. Don't risk it, particularly when there's enemies got ranged units and you necessarily haven't, which they haven't. And there we go, he secures victory, wins the game. I think he nets himself about 8,000 points, which is pretty good. Top player in the team, yep, just over 8,000 points, and a pretty nice game all in all. So, I'm certainly looking forward to getting onto the higher tier Barbarians. I know they've certainly got their problems, but the mobility and stuff that they get looks pretty nice. And obviously I do enjoy using Vercingetorix. As you can see now, I'm currently on my tier 5 Barbarians. We'll certainly probably be having a video on these at some point over the weekend as well. In fact, the video on these may come out before this replay, so it could be slightly confusing. But anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully you've enjoyed this. It's going to be a short little video today. If you have, give the video a like. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Would you have played things differently? You were taking slightly different tactics to some of his decisions. Let me know in the comments down below. Yep, thanks for watching, guys, and I shall see you all on the next video.